Okay. Uh, so I was talking about, we generally tend to look at this physical object as who we are, but there is something deep inside which is actually making this physical object happen. Just like this car is energized by the driver, and suppose there is a scratch happens on the car, how do you feel? Obviously, if it is somebody else's car, we don't feel anything. If it is our car, we feel some kind of a mental pain because we have some kind of a identity or an attachment. Now, if you come a little closer and if something happens to the body, we experience that pain. But in fact, even that is because we are identified with this body. For example, if you say, this is my shirt. So my shirt means me and shirt are different, right? And we say my body and my mind. That means me and body are different. Me and mind are different. Intuitively, we are actually saying that. But we don't say my I, not this I, but the I, capital I. We don't say my I, we just say I. So what is that I actually, which is actually saying all these things? That is really who we are. So we'll explore that now. So this is the highest wisdom which the Upanishad talk about and many sages have mentioned about. I'm just quoting a few here. Everybody has actually shown that we are not this body-mind entity. For example, Adi Shankara talked about in Nirvana Shatakam, we are not this body-mind, Manobuddhi Ahankara Chittani Na Aham, and Chidananda Rupa, I am this bliss body or consciousness. And in Brahma Jnanavali Mala, he talks about Satchidananda Rupam, Satchit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. And Upanishad, there are many Mahavakyas, Aham Brahmasmi, I am the Brahman, or Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam. Isha is all pervasive. All this. But this looks like such a tall order. For us, this world, me as a body, are so real. So how can we really actually get this? So there are some kind of pictures which are like a mental model to help this understand intellectually. Then we'll go into experiential part, which is the most important actually. So worldly reality or the relative reality, we can look at something like this actually. In our wake state, we see myself as this body, and there are other people, animals, plants, earth, mountain, stars, galaxies, all those things. That's our wake state. And we feel that it's so real. Okay, that's one state. Then we have dream state. Again, in dream, we actually create all those world or all those things appear, and I also appear there. So it's like a dream I, and in the dream I see all of that. There are animals, plants, people, mountains, stars, time and space, objects. So this is real worlds, I mean real eyes dream world, whereas dream eyes real world actually. When you are inside the dream, it looks so real, and when we come out of that, we say, oh, it was just a dream. And then we have deep sleep state, which is almost like a blank. So you can visualize this whole screen, the background blankness as the deep sleep state. So in deep sleep, there is no time and space. There are no objects. Actually, there is no sense of our body, mind, right? Everything is just gone. And when we woke up and come to this wake state, we say, I had a deep sleep. I slept like a log, you know, absolutely unaware of anything else. But we actually experienced the deep sleep. In fact, we experienced the blankness. That means I was there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have experienced that. So that is actually our more closest real state, deep sleep state. Even our wake state is actually a dream state. That is what is called awakening. That means if we come out of that and say, oh, this itself is also a dream state. That's what actually experiencing the reality. So we'll come to that in a step-by-step way. So is the world as it appears truly real? I think we need to start with this question. Even through modern science, now we know that are there really solid objects? If you look at atomic level, 99% is space. And if you go much more into string theory, everything is just vibrations. There is no particle. So what we perceive as this solid object, the whole world, is an appearance through our senses, isn't it? Because that's not the reality. It appears through our senses like that. Are there really different colors, for example? Objects different frequencies of light, which the eye converts it into electrical signal, and then brain and mind interprets them. In fact, now by injecting certain electrical signal to the brain directly, we can make people experience objects. That means we don't need real objects. It's just the electrical signal which is creating that perception. That means, is this physical world, is it really real as we perceive it? So there is a lot more in existence than what the five senses reflect. Of course, we have discovered electromagnetic waves, infrared, ultraviolet. So we have gone beyond just the what these physical senses can perceive. That means this physical world appears to be something, there is something different. So shall we be open for possibility that existence is different than what we perceive through this body mind, which is like a virtual reality gadget? Again, through technology, we have these virtual reality gadgets. We can wear them and it creates a world of its own, right? For example, I can get a table tennis table, a room, bat, and a ball. I can play with another virtual person in that virtual world, but it's actually like a real. I can hit the ball, there is a sound and a feel. It's almost like that. So this body mind entity is actually a very sophisticated virtual reality gadget, which is projecting this physical world like it appears for us. Again, these are kind of intellectual to say, but we'll come to experiential because that's when the transformation happens. Otherwise, these are just theories or hypotheses. So shall we be open? So now, if you continue this uh, relative reality to uh, in kind of exploring it into much deeper level. So what Mandukya Upanishad shows is that even in deep sleep, that we recognize that I had a deep sleep state. That means I was there. So the state which is able to recognize all the three, wake state, dream state, deep sleep state, which is I am able to actually witness all the three, that is called Turiya, like a fourth state or an awakened state. And if you look at this whole, the background screen, the white background screen as the consciousness, awareness, or Brahman, or Paramatma, Shiva, Self, Absolute, whatever name you can give, in that all these things appear: the wake state, dream state, deep sleep state. So it's called actually the consciousness dreaming, this whole thing. So this consciousness dream world, which is called creation or Shakti, and the universe, time and space, subtle energies, higher beings, gods, everything actually comes under this purview. So this blank screen is like Nirguna Nirakara. That means there is no attribute for this. It's actually blank, right? Nirakara, that means there is no boundaries, there is no shape, it's unbounded. And it is no thing. And it's Purna or infinity, there is no end. And it's dimensionless. And this is called Satchidananda. So you have these mental models, because when you go into experiencing and coming back, we'll actually able to relate much more. So this is what the Upanishads or Vedanta are showing it in various ways, that consciousness is the fundamental only thing that's existing, but it appears in multiple ways. And how it happens, we look at in another model. I'll take some questions after the next one, okay? So now imagine this screen is the consciousness. It's called as awareness or stillness. There is no movement, absolutely no movement. Or some people call it infinity or God or Paramatma or Brahman, Shiva. Shiva in the sense not the personified, but the Shiva and Shakti aspect. And from this stillness, when the moment starts, movement or vibration, so it creates this world of time and space and objects. And here there is this individual I, which is like a separate from this consciousness, and plants, stars, animals, all of them come under this. So this you can say is Brahmanda. So this whole screen is like Brahma, and this is Brahmanda. Anda means, a scoped creation. And it's also called as Jagat. Jagat means that which moves. That means there is a movement. Moment there is a movement, the physical world appears. And it's also called as Shakti. And there are various shades of gray in that. There is a sthula part, which is more manifest, like this physical world that we see, gross. And there is sukshma, subtle parts. For example, we feel our life forces because we can feel that, right? I am alive. There is something alive in me. That's the sukshma part. And there is karana or causal or light layer. This is the subtle part, which is the cause for all these things actually. So from this consciousness, which is attributeless, boundless, uh, you can call all those, nirguna, nirakara. From there, activity of consciousness start leading to this creation of this world. And once we have this creation, we perceive this physical world through the five senses in this, and then the body, mind, all those. So you can imagine this Brahmanda as like, uh, this, what they call the space simulation happens. Uh, Forgot that word. No. Uh, So we see only physical dimensions through this, even though our innermost core is this consciousness, and we are not able to perceive that. That's why we are trapped in this physical dimension, which is time and space concept. So this body mind virtual reality gadget projects all these things. It's like a kaleidoscope projecting many from one. Even though consciousness is just one, it's projecting multiplicity. And it creates an individual separate identity. I am this separate individual rather than I am this just one consciousness. That is the whole Maya. It creates that illusion. And there are few analogies used here to describe this. The ocean and waves. This whole consciousness, the blank background is like ocean, and these are like waves. When ocean is still, there are no waves, there is no creation. And when there is movement starts, the waves come. And waves look like an individual separate identity. Waves or water bubbles or water drops. But they are nothing but the ocean only. Similarly, we feel all these things as separate entities, but they are essentially one consciousness only. Another metaphor used is screen and movie. This white background is actually the screen, and all this world of movement and actions and objects, time and space is like movie. And screen doesn't get affected by the movie, and screen doesn't change. And screen is the one which appears as movie, right? So it's similar to that actually. In fact, we think this physical world is real, and for example, our deep sleep state is very temporary. Whereas it's the other way actually. Our deep sleep state is the more permanent background, just like this screen. And our wake state is like the movie. In fact, when we wake up from deep sleep, you can feel we are disoriented. I don't know what time it is or where am I. So both time and space, we actually get disoriented because in deep sleep state, we are actually in this pure consciousness level. And when we come out of this deep sleep, we actually switch on this virtual reality gadget. The movie starts. And whole idea about realization is to realize that we are that this blank consciousness on which all these other things appear. But our current world reality, we feel that this physical world is real and rest of the things are we go and come back, other states. So if you can go inside from this gross state, this thick line, and go within us and touch our innermost, this empty space. Actually, that is what is realization. And if we can just feel that, then we'll know the existence because that is the whole, the screen, which is the real part. Movie is actually the unreal. So that is what is actually the whole uh, orientation of Vedanta, Upanishads, and many of the scriptures. In fact, that's the basis of all the religions. And a lot of religions have right now bit disconnected from this spiritual dimension. So this individual separate identity is the root cause of all the illusion, and it's called as Maya of the world, and consequently the suffering and searching. So we tend to get lost, and our innate nature is that we realize that we are this one consciousness. So that's what actually we are trying to seeking. And we get identified with this physical or the separate creation, and that is the cause of all our suffering. We get into various wrong identities because of which. Again, we'll go into that in a little deeper level. So the goal of all spiritual paths is to realize that we are not this finite, separate body-mind entity, but we are one infinite consciousness. And for example, Kriya Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga try to achieve that through Samadhi. After meditation, the Samadhi state where I actually dissolve this, my separate identity, and touch this blank consciousness, so to say. Bhakti Yoga, Jivatma dissolving into Paramatma. This separate individual identity merging with this whole existence. Jnana Yoga through direct awareness, saying that I am this, the consciousness which is unmanifest. And in Bhagavad Gita, there are points to all the above paths. That's why it's one of the very profound, scriptures. This is my experience, having gone through multiple masters. I could relate somewhat like, you can access different layers of this, our existence, and go beyond this physical perception. For me, with Sadhguru and Sri Ravi Shankar, I felt they're using energy as the medium to shift from this worldly awareness to deeper awareness. And when we really experience that, it's an undoubted conviction saying that, yes, something more exists than this physical world. And with Sri M, I felt it's more subtle energy plus light in his Kriya Yoga. And Suresh Ramaswamy, some of you know, he uses light and consciousness. As you notice, this is going into more subtler layers actually. And Ramana Maharshi is the direct path, direct awareness. That means directly realize that you are this, the consciousness. And Upanishads point to the highest truth, direct path, or it's also called pathless path. So these are some kind of intellectual, mental frameworks for us to keep in mind. Because whenever you read anything from the scriptures or any discourses or from any gurus, you can actually relate to these pictures. That's what I felt. How to look at these mental models and concepts? They have some utility. They help to convince the intellectual mind about these possibilities and build conviction in mind to pursue and exploration of them. Otherwise, mind itself will block. If I just say that this whole world is, illusion, Maya, Mithya, whatever, there is something like this, one consciousness, mind doesn't accept it. And then help the mind to settle down a bit. Okay, that is possible. So let me listen. But there's a caution actually. Don't get stuck with mental models, concepts, and imaginations because it's still in the realm of mind only. And mind cannot perceive truth. Truth appears when mind disappears. Just like in this diagram, if you have to perceive this truth, which is this consciousness, which is the background, we have to transcend all these gross layers. That means mind layer as well. So there is a statement from Zen master on truth. If I tell, I am lying. If I don't tell, I am coward. Why they say that is, if I tell, you can't really perceive this consciousness, because whenever we are trying to perceive or understand, we are using the mind. And whatever experience we want to get, it's still in the mind body realm. That means this truth is actually beyond that. So we can't even perceive it through this mind body entity. Only by transcending that, we can actually realize that. That is the challenge, actually. So, and whenever we try to explain that, we actually bring the limitation of the body mind to explain it. Otherwise, we can't even relate. And the limitation of the language. So, if I tell, I am lying actually, because that's not the real truth. And if I don't tell, I am coward. I'm not doing justice. Because I know that is actually the truth, but I'm not talking. So, this is actually Zen Master's dilemma. And there is a nice statement in Upanishads: those who worship ignorance go to darkness, those who worship knowledge go to even more darkness. Because whatever we gather as knowledge by reading or listening to discourses or watching videos, all those things are still in the realm of mind and body. And we can get entangled much more in that actually, because we may feel that, oh, I am actually more knowledgeable, I am more pious, I am more holy, or religious, whatever. It's actually can be a much bigger entanglement. So real shift comes when we internally realize, not as a memory or a mind knowing, but there is no better word. We can say realizing. So that's the part I just wanted to paint first from an intellectual perspective. Now I would like to shift to two experiential parts. We'll go through some kind of a guided meditation. In fact, these are not yogic meditation. These are typically the Vedantic meditation. And you just follow that and we'll see uh, what we'll get. But before that, anybody has any quick comments, reflections, questions on this intellectual part? As I said, it may look very complex, but actually the very simple thing, hopefully in the experiential part, we'll be able to touch that simple part. But if we have to express it through mind, we have to do a lot of circus. Is that okay? We'll proceed.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's proceed. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So now what we'll do is we'll do one guided meditation. This is back to baby meditation. So I want you to sit relaxed and switch off or keep your mobiles in silent mode, and also make sure that you have muted the Zoom because it should not disturb the others. So I'll ring a bell to start and stop this meditation. When I ring this, you start the meditation. So close your eyes. Take a deep breath and exhale slowly. Take another deep breath and exhale slowly. Now visualize that you have become small baby and you are lying in the cradle, smiling, kicking your legs and hands and you don't have any physical discomforts. So you are happily smiling. And singing with some strange sounds. You don't know any language. You're just making some sound. You don't have the burden of language. You don't have the burden of vocabulary, grammar. You don't know any relationships. You look at everybody the same way and smile. You don't have any filters. You don't judge anybody. You are aware of you are not aware of your body as well. You are not worried about what others will think about you. You have no name. You have no identity. Don't belong to any nationality or religion. You have no memory. You have no thoughts. You are just in the present moment. You have no fear. You have no worries. You are happy. You have no burdens. Visualize again. You lying in the cradle, kicking your hands and legs, smiling with a toothless mouth. Continue to enjoy that moment. with some of those light feelings. Just become aware that how much baggage of identities we have built upon us, which are not really us. Just like we wearing different clothes, we have put on so much of identities on us, which are not real us. Do you feel little lighter? Little, should I say, blank? Anybody wants to share anything?
Yeah, very light actually.
In fact, this is closer to our true nature. That's why when we look at babies, and especially we look into their eyes, we feel some strange happiness. That's because we actually resonate with our own that inner nature. So we little bit touch on that actually. That's why we feel happy when we look at babies.
Yeah,
In fact,
feel
they say,
lighter, but we can't get rid. I cannot get rid of thoughts or images or something.
yeah. But this is to touch that we are actually not this big baggage. Our core is much simpler, purer. We have built a lot of things. In fact, they say children are like God, right?
Trying to see the screen, blank screen.
Yeah. In fact, children are actually much more in the pure state, and then society and education actually creates a lot of this conditioning. So this is just to go one step into our closer nature. We'll do one more step. Hope you're all okay. And because
Yeah.
I'm not able to see much of the screen and people because I'm sharing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do one more step and really deep dive, and then come back and reflect few things. So here we'll do one more guided meditation. People who are aware of, they may relate to this. This kind of a combination of Drigdrishya Viveka from Vidyaranya Swami or Nirvana Shatakam and Neti Neti, all these things. Who am I from Ramana Maharshi? Kind of combinations of this. So for this, I would like you to hold your hand like this, the fingers crossed, and keep it on the thigh. Okay. And then sit relaxed with eyes open for a while and look around and look at few objects, the room, table, chair, or anything else. And notice that what you are aware of is different than who you are, right? If you are aware of something, that's an object. And the one who is aware of that is actually the you, isn't it? See, I am aware of that table. That means table and I are different.
Yep.
And so we'll take this process now more inward in a similar way of exploring ourselves. Okay. So with this crossed fingers on your laps, hand on the laps, close your eyes. Notice that whatever you are aware of is different and apart from you. And keep your head slightly lifted up so that you don't fall asleep. Just tilt it slightly upward. Bring your attention to the breath. Become aware of the breath. Notice that you are not the breath. You are the one who is aware of the breath. Become aware of the body. Again, notice that you are not the body. You are the one who is aware of the body. Become aware of any thoughts in the mind. You are aware of the thoughts means they are the object and you are the subject who is aware of those thoughts. Notice that you are the witness and thoughts just come and go. Become aware of any sensations in the body. Notice that those sensations are different than you. They are the objects. You are the subject who is aware of those sensations. Now drop everything that is not you. The body, mind, thoughts, and just be the one who is witness to all of that. That witness, the you, is the real you. It is unchanging. It is self-aware, just like the sun is self-luminous. Just be that awareness. Just be yourself. If any thoughts come, again notice that they are appearing in you, the awareness. And become aware of the you who is the witness. Continue to be the you or the awareness. Just be. Gently open your eyes. But be with the feeling, whatever you are experiencing. Maybe some of you experience some kind of a blank state, undescribable, or nothing kind of a state. In fact, that is you. That is that blankness on which the movie plays, or the screen and on which the movie plays. If some of you have experienced that, that is like a deep sleep, but with awareness. Of course, we are doing it in a very short time. Hope at least somebody experienced this, touched it. And that blankness is actually like attributeless. I can't describe it. And there is no time and space awareness in that. Did anybody experience a little bit of that?
It was rare. I know there is one attribute. It is incredibly peaceful.
Yes, absolutely. In fact,
and makes you reluctant to come out of it.
Absolutely. In fact, that is the quality of that consciousness. That's why it's called as Satchit Ananda. In fact, that Ananda or pleasantness is very different than what we call as happiness typically in the worldly sense. It's a very calm, peaceful, that's why sometimes say blissful. That is our very nature actually. So that is the screen. And when we wake up from that, the whole movie starts because we switch on our virtual reality gadget. So that state is like the blue sky where the clouds appear and disappear, or it's like the space where the objects appear and disappear, or it's like the ocean where waves appear and disappear. In fact, that's unaffected, untouched. It's always there. In fact, now, even with eyes open, you can just reflect and touch that. You will get a very good power actually. You can always in any situation recall that because it's always there. Because on that everything else comes. It's just like the screen is always there. Screen is more real than the movie. In fact, this is our real nature. That is real us. Anybody else wants to share anything?
I think that feeling of blankness, and it was very soothing.
Yeah.
But I think because we are conditioned that what is happiness, now we do not know whether we call it that happiness, but that was soothing. So
Yes.
and you tend to feel good about it now, because again we start using mind, and whether mind really says it happiness or not, but
Exactly.
but no words, but it gives a soothing feeling. You
Yeah.
say, oh yeah, I think
Yeah.
so, because there is no thought there. There is no
Absolutely.
attribute to allocate to that, and blankness is certainly a feeling of lightness, because
Yes.
when you are blank, then you are light, because there
Yes.
seems to be no pressure from nowhere, and you
Correct.
are like floating
Yes.
thought, floating
Absolutely.
feeling kind of a thing.
Absolutely. So we should not try to describe it or put a name to that, because then we are limiting it by our mind actually. So we should just be with that,
Right.
and whatever is that, and keep going to that, so that we strengthen our conviction that screen is more real than the movie. Otherwise, you are caught up in the
Right.
movie all the time.
I try to use that whenever some things are not going well, or whenever somebody hurts me, or somebody when I'm unhappy. So this also will go, this is not real, or
Yeah. In fact, we should do that when we are happy also, because that's also an entanglement.
Yeah, but human nature, no, when you're happy, you'll forget about it. You don't
Yes.
want to.
Yeah. In fact, if you can do when we are happy, we'll do it more easily when we
That's
are.
a higher state. Still, I'm not using it.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Sure, sure. Anybody else has any observations?
Yeah, I mean, I have one question, Shesha.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
this is pretty good. It's really light and feels like, I mean, you get energized, or afterwards you feel like very light. But how shall we harness this? Like, in the sense, like, how do we take this is a good thing, but in the real life, how
Yeah.
can we make use of this? Like,
Yes, yes. You are coming to my next slide actually.
okay, sorry. Okay.
That means
Yeah.
you have understood so far.
Yes, yes, yes. So, yeah.
Somebody said how to harness this one something. I'm practicing awareness a whole day. Whole day awareness. If I'm doing cooking and watching anything, awareness. No past thinking, no future, just be there. That keeps very calm. Mind will be very cool.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah. But that doesn't come easily also.
Yes, it is practice only. It will go something else. Some thoughts will come. But again, you have to aware that my mind is going there. Bring it back and do.
Yes.
It takes time.
Yeah. Initially, you may have to do a lot more of a recall. Oh, I got into this. Let me go back. But it's still a mind activity to say, I got it and I had to go back. That itself start actually you touching the screen more than the movie. Or when the movie is happening, you are aware of that there is a screen. Then you are not so caught up in the movie. In fact, you can laugh and cry, do everything, but that's a movie only.
No, when you are in the awareness, you don't feel anything. No, you don't feel anything.
More detached.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
No laugh.
In fact,
No something. It's on my way. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. In fact, Krishna calls it very nicely that he calls it everything is Leela. It's just a play.
Correct.
So we can actually start seeing it that way, not as a forced psychological conditioning, but more as a reality actually. That is the most important part. Psychologically, conditioning, forcing will not work because mind will come out with greater force actually. So mind needs to be kind of deconditioned out of this.
And judgmental will come down.
Yes.
You don't judge anybody. Or they are saying what they are. Like that it happens to me. I don't know about others,
Wonderful.
but it happened to me.
That's very
Thank
good,
you.
Veena. Yeah. So let me quickly go into few parts. Now, through this, actually, what you did is you come out of that virtual reality gadget. This individual identity. You actually, in this practice, you came out. You touch this blank part, which is actually the consciousness. You experienced it by yourself. And in every deep sleep, we actually experience that, but we are not aware of that. That's the problem. So now how to take this forward is that you experience the transcend actually. That means you transcended your body mind. But it will go back because we are so conditioned that this physical world is real. So it will pull us back actually. So we have to integrate this into our life. As Veena was saying, in every activity, if we can start feeling that presence and the background. Sorry. Then it will start deepening actually. Then embody. Embody means this starts permeating into our mind and body from inside out. This consciousness, which is actually the Satchit Ananda, that starts permeating through our mind and body. So this is a kind of a cycle starts going. Transcend, integrate, embody, tie. This cycle start expanding our consciousness. I've taken this from Suresh Ramaswamy's book called Just Be. So that's the way we cultivate this. And impact of this realizing who we really are is actually phenomenal. Constant peaceful joy you experienced momentarily, it starts becoming more constant. So not perturbed by nothing much outside actually. And reduce negative emotions, feelings, thoughts, fear, worries, anger, frustration, sadness, boredom, loneliness. You can think of all those things. Even if they come, they will be momentary. You actually come back to the state much more easily. Great liberation, lightness, no burden, and more acceptance of everybody, everything, and existence as it is. Because it's our mind which is actually discriminating good, bad, right, wrong. This is not right. This should be like this. The world should be like this. In fact, everything is fine. It's our only mind which is actually creating that disturbance. So that reduces. And doing from a position of being as an expression of inner joy, not for getting something. This doesn't mean that we go into some zombie state actually. We become much more dynamic, but we'll do it more like an expression from inside than craving for getting something actually. I mean, these are some experiences and many things. So it's really works, and that is the best way to be actually. So this is a quick. I'm just winding down now with few, future directions. This is some kind of a map for us to reflect where am I in the journey. So this left side part, I call it as a unconscious confidence. This is where we are busily engaged in the world. We feel this world is very real. We are very confident. We are chasing a lot of things. So this is a dark age. And then we start getting doubts. Is it really so? Especially when you are hit badly in life, we really start waking up. And then doubt, confusion, we call it twilight zone. Then conscious confidence. We start moving into what's called light age, we start seeing that yes, this inner, that consciousness is actually more real than the outward, the worldly aspects. And then finally merging into this one consciousness. The left side is going outward, it's kinetic, very activity oriented. Going inward is more potential. You actually calm down, quieting. So you can actually map this. This outward is more left brain orientation, human doings. This is more right brain orientation, human beings, more of a being state. Reduction is dividing, differentiating versus unifying, inclusive, integrating. Individual identity versus universal identity. Competition, conflict versus cooperation, coexistence. Religion, politics, nationalities. I mentioned religion on this side because religion is right now in the current state is the biggest dividing force in the world than unifying actually humanity, because they are missing the fundamental spiritual essence actually. Whereas spirituality, one consciousness is moving to the right. 5 sense-based perception of existence, whereas this is beyond the body-mind perception, one consciousness. So roughly we can map which way we are oriented. I would say people in this group right now, probably they are more in the right side because otherwise we won't be here. And this is not a linear path. People can directly, jump. So that's a matter of how deeply we reflect. And just one more kind of information on this levels of our consciousness. If you start from the bottom, this world is happening to me. It's a helpless victim feeling. Oh my God, why all these things is happening to me? And this is when we are unhappy, we feel that way. And when we are happy, we feel world is happening by me. I'm in control, egoistic. I am doing it, And typically we are caught up in this cycle, which is called cycles of ignorance. When things are not going as per my wish, I say world is happening to me. When things are going as per me, I say, oh, I am doing it. And if you cross this, it's world is happening through me. We start realizing that I'm actually just a channel. I'm just a medium. It's just happening. So it's like a witness, sakshi, self-aware. And even more higher consciousness will be world is happening as me. There is no difference actually. Everything is just one. That's non-dual Advaita realization. This is state of awakening. Again, we can look at where am I? This could give some kind of a tips for that. So I would close with this. I would say this practice of developing awareness and realizing who we really are. These are some very good teachers from Ramana Maharshi. They are followers of Ramana Maharshi. Rupert Spira is a British, and Muji Baba is actually a Jamaican living in Spain. They bring very direct, in a very simple ways. You can actually explore some of their videos. And one thought to leave here is this: who am I? People tend to think of getting an answer in the mind. Actually, purpose of the question, who am I, is not to get an answer, but to dissolve the questioner. It's the idea. That means we actually transcend that separate individual identity and realize that we are this one consciousness. And whatever path or stage we may be in, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Kriya Yoga, whatever, because they are all very useful paths. In fact, I started with Ramana Maharshi about 30 years back. At that time, I couldn't relate. It appeared like some concepts or intellectual stuff. But I had to go through my own sadhanas in many of these paths. And now I'm able to relate a lot more clearly, actually. So any paths you may be in, but important is have this realizing who am I is actually the aim, all the paths. So keep that in that, and then probably you will, accelerate much more. So with that, I'll close the talking and open up for some discussion. Thank you very much for listening. Hope I was making some sense because
No,
I feel it's very difficult to express, and but it has to be maybe through more vibes than actually words. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I think it is wonderful as always. It is wonderful as always. And the last statement, I think, is a very powerful one, that purpose of question, who am I, is not to get an answer, but to dissolve the question. And I think that's a very profound statement. Because on one side, we keep saying, okay, go on the path of asking, who am I? Go on the path of asking, who am I? And then typically we get into an intellectual activity that we tend to read many things, and then, oh, somewhere we'll get an answer.
Yeah.
And that
And we'll
becomes an
say, I am
illusion.
soul. I'm not the body, I'm soul. Oh, I got the
Correct.
answer.
Correct,
Oh,
correct,
wrong
correct,
answer,
correct,
actually.
correct,
So if
correct.
your mind says, I got the answer, that means it's a wrong answer.
Yeah. I think somewhere you mentioned that if I tell you, then I'm lying. And if I don't tell you, then I'm coward. I think you made that statement also somewhere. Yeah, good one. Good. Thank you, Vishu. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like the statement. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
That worshipping ignorance and worshipping knowledge. That they're still in the darkness.
Yes.
That's
In fact, a lot of people on Jnana Marga think that if I read a lot of scriptures, if I by heart many, slokas, I am actually progressing. In fact, they can be regressing much more actually.
deeper
They
darkness.
can be a lot more entangled.
And
In fact,
also
I'd
that
say we think that this very religious people think that these worldly people are in the unholy world and I am going to the holy world. They are just replacing one thing with another only. They are still in the world only. Spirituality is actually no world.
And you showed that amoeba-like thing with three states and blank space. That's really nice. That gave a different understanding of level of understanding of this. Two
Yes.
things
I think those help intellectually to whenever we read here, etc., to understand a little better. But I think we should keep touching our internal. That will be the most profound.
Right. Thank you.
The triangular picture, Vishu, that you showed from Just Be book, I think, right? The tie, the E standard for embody.
Tie, yeah.
Okay, so that embody is the Nididhyasanam.
It's not a practice actually. It is Nididhyasana helps in that. It is much more of a abiding in the being. That means I just keep resting in that.
Yeah.
I operate from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nicely presented, Vishu. As you said, I think the essence is this, which is the simplest part of it that we should know, but that is the complex to understand. So
yes, because we are actually
it's
all
a journey.
That. We are very outward caught up, but actually, if you inward, it's our direct experience actually.
Yeah.
See, I am alive. I am aware. That is the most undeniable fact.
Yeah.
And that is what we should strengthen and go inside actually.
Yeah.
So who is that actually? What is that? Yeah.
Sorry, just to state the experience in the second meditation that you shared. I think we read this from or hear from Sadhguru, those statements, you are not the thoughts, you are not the body, you are not the mind. But actually to go through that in the experience when you started the second meditation, to actually think about the thought and then that I'm not that thought, then think about the body and the vibrations or pains or whatever the state. Again, saying that it is not that. Just getting that feeling was very good. And then you asked for the Sakshi Bhava phenomenon, right? So just that initial part, that experiencing itself was very useful. I mean, after that is the little bit of blankness happened.
Yes.
Then mind again says that, hey, are you following what Vishu is saying? I went somewhere, but then the urge to listen to you, again, discipline, process, all these things come into the mind, right? So
yeah. In fact, that's a
that
very good
interruption
point.
to blankness happened, Vishu. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very good point. See, we discount that blankness because we are seeking for some experience and
Yeah.
we are basically looking for an object because mind cannot exist with that object.
Yeah.
It tries to cling into that. That's why it wants to come back and say, oh, are you experiencing?
Oh,
So if you just let go that I don't have to experience, because experience mind means it's in the realm of body mind. If you just let go of that, you can actually, dissolve in that.
So this is actually gap in the experience. A gap in the
Ah,
experience, right? When there is no
yes,
experience,
yes,
but we try to, because we think everything has to be experienced.
exactly.
And that is where your title
Yeah.
very clearly said beyond knowing, beyond experiencing.
Yeah,
If that also gets embodied, then we say we are not looking for an experience.
yeah,
Otherwise, as I am also trying to, give some explanation or something, that means I am actually trying to color that experience or
absolutely.
call it an experience.
Yes,
And calling it an experience, then I have to say something about it.
yeah, yes, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's very tricky.
Yeah,
it's kind of that stateless and stateful. And when with the meditative experience, when it is going into a kind, I mean, stateless may or may not be the right word, but it is going into something of that type.
Yeah.
I'm putting effort to bring it back into a stateful situation.
Yeah.
Right. So I think being comfortable with that discomfort of dissolving, I think it takes
Yes.
a lot of practice, sadhana. Yeah.
Correct. And this is what now we are thinking as discomfort, actually, because we are conditioned for other thing to be comfort, right? So you just rightly said very correctly that we are thinking that to be discomfort, actually the comfort.
Yeah.
Because we are conditioned to something else as a comfort. I think you very, very beautifully said discomfort. Yes.
Yeah. In fact, it's not very difficult actually. So I would recommend you watch some of the Rupert Spera or Muji Baba's videos.
Yes.
You can very quickly get into that because
yes, Rupert, I have seen. I think you shared some videos here also in the past.
Yeah.
So I have seen those videos, and yes, he is very direct. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vishu. Dhanyawada.
Thank you very much.
Dhanyawada.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'll stop recording.